When we talk about sticking to a plan instead of your feelings, the very first thing you must understand is that feelings are never constant. One moment you feel powerful, confident, ready to conquer anything. The next moment, without any logical reason, you feel tired, distracted, confused, even discouraged. This is the nature of emotions. They shift like the weather. And if you allow your life to be controlled by something that changes this quickly, how will you ever reach a destination that requires long-term effort? A vision is not achieved by someone who depends on how they feel today, but by someone who depends on what they decided to do long before the emotions arrived. You see, your feelings care about comfort, but your vision cares about growth. Feelings want the easy path, the familiar routine, the safe choices, but your vision requires sacrifice, discipline, and resilience. Every time you choose your plan over your emotions, you break a little piece of the old version of yourself. And every time you choose your emotions over your plan, you delay the person you are meant to become. This is why it is so important to build a mindset where your decisions are based on purpose, not on mood. There will be days when you wake up and everything inside you whispers, just take it easy, maybe tomorrow. Those are the days that separate average results from extraordinary success. Because when you push through on those low energy days, when you still follow the plan, even after your feelings try to pull you away, that is when your character grows. That is when you prove to yourself that you are stronger than the emotions trying to distract you. And that inner victory is more important than any external achievement. It builds a kind of a mental muscle that cannot be shaken easily. Most people don't fail because their goals are impossible. They fail because they surrender to temporary emotions. They let a moment of doubt slow down their progress. They allow the moment of fear to stop their action. They permitted a moment of laziness to steal an entire dream. But imagine how your life changes when you decide once and for all that your plan is the boss, not your mood. Imagine when your commitment becomes stronger than your excuses. That is the moment when everything in your life begins to shift, because your feelings will tell you stories. They will say, you're not ready, you're not capable, it's too hard, it's too late. But your plan is built on intention, clarity, purpose. And the beautiful thing is that when you act according to your plan, your feelings eventually adjust. The emotion you didn't have in the morning appears once you take action. Motivation comes after movement. Confidence comes after consistency. Strength comes after showing up. So stay faithful to the plan you created when you were clear, focused, and honest about your goals. Trust that version of yourself more than the emotional version that appears from time to time. Because the life you want will be built by your commitment, not your mood. When you follow your feelings, life becomes noisy. Everything seems scattered, everything feels overwhelming, and every small challenge looks bigger than it actually is. That's what emotions do. They create fog. You start questioning yourself, doubting your direction, wondering if you should slow down, change your goal, or take a different path altogether. And in that confusion, even strong people lose momentum. But when you follow a clear plan, something powerful happens. The noise fades. The distractions become weaker. The doubts lose their grip. A plan doesn't eliminate challenges, but it gives you a path to walk through them without losing yourself in the process. Think about it. A plan is like a compass. No matter how emotional the day is, No matter how heavy your thoughts feel, the compass doesn't change its direction. It keeps pointing you toward the destination you chose when you were thinking clearly. That is why it's so important to build your life around a plan, because your plan represents your highest level of clarity, while your feelings represent your lowest level of stability. When you trust the plan, you are trusting your strongest self. When you trust your feelings, you are trusting your weakest moments. There are days when you will feel lost, even while doing everything right. There will be moments when the work seems slow, progress seems invisible, and your emotions start convincing you that maybe you are not meant for this path. But that's exactly why a plan exists, so you have something stronger than those temporary whispers inside your mind. When you stay connected to your plan, you protect your purpose from emotional interference. You stay anchored. You stay directed. You stay aligned with the bigger picture. Most of the time, people don't get stuck because the path is too hard. They get stuck because the mind becomes too loud. Thoughts of fear, failure, comparison, insecurity, these thoughts damage more dreams than actual obstacles ever will. But when your plan is clear, it helps you silence that noise. It tells you, just take the next step. Don't worry about the mountain. Just focus on the next step. And one step consistently taken is more powerful than 1,000 emotional thoughts that never lead to action. Your plan reminds you of who you want to become. Your feelings remind you of who you were. Your plan shows you the future you're working toward. Your feelings pull you back to the comfort of the past. And you have to choose which voice you will obey. Choose the one that leads you forward, not the one that keeps you in circles. Because the truth is simple. Feelings make life complicated, but a plan makes life clear. The plan doesn't always feel exciting. It doesn't always feel easy, but it keeps you moving in the right direction. And the day you learn to follow direction instead of emotion is the day your life finally begins to align with your destiny. Motivation is a beautiful feeling, but it's unreliable. It comes when life looks exciting, when things feel fresh, when your energy is high. But discipline is completely different. Discipline is not a feeling. It is a decision you make once, and a decision you honor again and again, even when every part of you feels tired, bored, or overwhelmed. And this is where most people get stuck. They wait for motivation to show up before they act. But people who succeed don't ask themselves how they feel. They ask themselves what they committed to. They don't rely on emotion. They rely on discipline. There will be days when motivation is nowhere to be found. Days when your mind is heavy, when your heart is not in it, when you feel disconnected from your goals. But discipline steps in exactly at those moments and says, do it anyway. That simple decision to do it anyway is what separates dreamers from achievers. Anyone can work when it feels easy. Anyone can start when the energy is high. But it takes strength to follow through when the excitement has faded and only commitment is left. Discipline is the force that carries you through the empty spaces where motivation cannot reach. Think of discipline as the bridge between where you are and the life you're trying to build. On one side is your ambition, your desire, your vision. On the other side are the results, the achievement, the breakthroughs you want. Motivation helps you step onto the bridge, but it can't carry you across it. Only discipline can. Only the consistent footsteps you take day after day even when your emotions are trying to pull you in the opposite direction, can bring you to the other side. And the incredible thing is that once discipline becomes a habit, it becomes easier than relying on motivation ever was. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop explaining your excuses. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You simply act. And this consistent action builds a confidence that no motivational quote or emotional boost could ever give you. You begin to trust yourself because you become someone who follows through. You become someone whose word to yourself is unbreakable. This is why discipline is more powerful than motivation. Motivation starts the engine, but discipline drives the vehicle. Motivation makes you feel good, but discipline makes you better. Motivation is loud and flashy, but discipline works quietly in the background, shaping your character and your future. And the day you choose discipline over emotion is the day your life starts moving in the direction you always wanted. Because no matter how inspiring your dream is, no matter how strong your desire is, no matter how fired up you feel today, it is your disciplined actions, repeated consistently, that will create the transformation you seek. Comfort is the silent enemy of progress. It feels good in the moment, but it steals from your future. It whispers to you, telling you to slow down, to take it easy, to avoid anything that feels hard or unfamiliar. And the truth is, following your feelings usually leads you back into comfort, but following your plan forces you into growth. Growth never happens in the places where everything is easy. Growth happens where you are stretched, challenged, and pushed a little beyond what you think you can handle. That's why success demands consistency, not comfort. Every person you admire, every person who built something meaningful had to walk through uncomfortable seasons. They had days when nothing felt right, days when everything in them wanted to quit. But they kept moving, not because they felt good, but because they were committed to the plan. They understood that feelings come and go, but results come from what you choose to do despite how you feel. That's what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck in the same patterns year after year. Your feelings will tempt you with shortcuts. They will convince you that slowing down today won't hurt, that skipping this one step won't matter. But your plan, if it's aligned with your purpose, doesn't allow shortcuts. It shows you the long road, the disciplined road, the road where every step counts. And even though that road may feel uncomfortable, it is the only road that leads to transformation. Comfort is easy now, but painful later. Discipline is hard now, but powerful later. You must choose which pain you want. There will be moments when you feel like you're giving more than you're getting back, when you're putting in the effort but not seeing immediate rewards. And that's when many people give up, because their feelings convince them that the discomfort means something is wrong. But discomfort does not mean you're failing. It means you're growing. It means you're stepping out of the old version of yourself and walking into the new one. Growth always comes wrapped in discomfort. That's how you know you are evolving. Your plan forces you to show up on days you would rather hide. It pushes you to build habits that eventually shape your identity. Every time you follow the plan instead of your feelings, you teach yourself that you are in control. You remind yourself that you are stronger than the temporary emotions trying to hold you back. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, What once felt uncomfortable becomes your new normal. What once felt difficult becomes effortless. This is the reward of choosing growth over comfort. So don't let comfort convince you to settle. Don't let momentary emotions decide the direction of your life. Stick to your plan, even when it challenges you, even when it stretches you, even when it demands more than you feel ready to give. Because every step you take outside your comfort zone is a step toward the life you were meant to live. Emotions are powerful, but they are not always honest. They react to the moment, not to your purpose. One day they lift you up, and the next day they pull you down. But when you learn to manage your emotions instead of letting them manage you, you gain a level of control that most people never experience. Emotional control is not about feeling nothing. It's about not letting your feelings make decisions for you. It's about knowing that your temporary mood should never decide the direction of your long-term journey. Life will test you through your emotions. There will be moments when fear rises before opportunity, when doubt appears right before a breakthrough, when exhaustion comes right, when you need to push a little more. And if you allow those emotions to dictate your actions, you will pull back exactly when you need to move forward. This is why emotional control becomes a life skill. Not a one-time lesson, not a motivational moment, but a skill you develop with awareness and practice. When you recognize your emotions but refuse to surrender to them, you rise above the inner noise that holds so many people back. Think about how often emotions have misled people. Someone gets angry and ruins relationships. Someone feels insecure and abandons their dreams. Someone feels impatient and stops right before progress begins. Someone gets overwhelmed and walks away from something meaningful. Emotions are real, but they are not always right. When you act purely from emotion, you act from impulse rather than intention. But when you act from your plan, your purpose, your clarity, you act from a place of strength. And here's the truth. Emotional control doesn't mean you never feel frustration, fear, or doubt. It simply means those emotions no longer decide your actions. You can feel fear and still take the step. You can feel tired and still do the work. You can feel insecure and still trust the process. That is power. That is maturity. That is self-leadership. When you can guide yourself through emotional storms without losing focus on your plan, you become unstoppable. Your plan is logical. Your plan is intentional. Your plan is built on your highest values and deepest desires. But your emotions are built on temporary triggers, moments that pass, thoughts that shift. So you have to ask yourself, which one deserves to lead your life? The clear plan you created with purpose, or the fleeting emotion you feel for a few hours? When you choose the plan, you choose stability. When you choose the plan, you choose growth. When you choose the plan, you choose the future you want, not the feelings you have right now. And the beautiful thing is that once you build the emotional control, you start to feel lighter, sharper, more focused. You stop overreacting. You stop doubting yourself so easily. You stop quitting on yourself. You develop a calm inner strength that guides your steps no matter what kind of emotional waves try to hit you. Because the person who controls their emotions controls their direction, and the person who controls their direction controls their destiny. The future you dream about is not built by how you feel on any particular day. It is built by what you do every single day. Feelings change from morning to evening, but actions, consistent, deliberate, disciplined actions are what shape your destiny. This is where many people misunderstand the success. They think it's about motivation or inspiration or waiting for the right emotional state. But the truth is, the people who win in life are the ones who understand that results come from routine, not from mood. They commit to a plan, and then they show up for that plan again and again. Even when their feelings try to pull them in another direction, there will be days when you don't feel strong, when you don't feel focused, when you don't feel driven. But the key is this: you don't need to feel like it to do it. You don't need excitement to take action. You don't need the confidence to take the next step. You just need the consistency. Consistency turns an ordinary person into a powerful force. Consistency turns small habits into big transformations. Consistency turns invisible progress into visible results. Most people quit because they judge their progress based on how they feel instead of how they're growing. They say, I don't feel motivated today, and they step back. They say, I don't see results yet, and they slow down. But growth is not always visible. Momentum is not always loud. Sometimes your biggest breakthroughs happen quietly, in the small moments where you chose action over emotion. Those tiny decisions stack up. They build the confidence, they build the resilience, they build the character. And before you know it, the person you become is stronger than the person you used to be. Think of your daily actions like planting seeds. You don't plant a seed and expect a tree tomorrow. You water it, protect it, give it sunlight, and trust the process. That's how dreams grow. That's how results are born. Not from emotional highs, but from steady, consistent work, especially on the days when you least feel like doing it. Those days matter the most because they prove your commitment. They show that your plan is stronger than your emotion. Every day you follow your plan, even just a little, you move closer to the life you want. Every day you do the work without waiting for the perfect mood. You separate yourself from the crowd. Every day you choose discipline over distraction. You become the kind of person who build their future instead of wishing for it. Your feelings might tell you to slow down, but your plan tells you to keep going. And if you want to succeed, you must listen to the voice that leads you forward, not the one that holds you back. Because at the end of the day, your results will never come from what you felt. They will come from what you consistently chose to do.